This Steve Jones Show podcast is now loading. The Steve Jones Show podcast is presented by Sunbury Motor Company, Purdy Insurance, Brewers Outlet, and NIL Game Changers. Bringing you an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by NIL Game Changers, Sunbury Motor Company, Purdy Insurance, and Brewers Outlet. Now from the Sunbury Motor Studio, here's Steve Jones.
And breaking news in a moment. This half hour brought to you by our good friends at NIL Game Changers, the ultimate destination for name, image, and likeness opportunities for both athletes and businesses. Visit NILGameChangers.org to start your journey today. Dan Hurley has made his decision. He has said no to the LA Lakers. He is going to stay at UConn. The Lakers offered him a 6-year, $70 million deal, but he decided to stay in Stores. That's why, for example, late last week we were talking about this, and remember I kept saying, Ty, I said, look, I assume nothing. You know, I've only met Dan Hurley a couple of times. He was at Rhode Island at the time, right? So I don't really know him at all. But, so I just, and I'm going back, like the last time I ever spoke even to him was like 8 years ago, all right? And so you don't know what makes somebody comfortable, what doesn't, what intrigues them, what doesn't, what the challenges are, what they want to do. They're an entity unto themselves, and that's why all this guessing and speculating that happens, that's why I try not to do it. And in this particular case, he decided to stay at UConn, and that's his decision. He's not going to take the Lakers job. And then, the whole world last week was, feeling it was a done deal. It was not a done deal. All right.
Hey, Steve.
Yeah, I know Steve Kline. I know he's there.
Okay.
This is breaking news, okay? Yeah. All right. Okay. If you want, we can wait a half an hour.
I'm not going to say, I'm a little surprised he turned down that amount of money.
Well, UConn offered him a contract that makes him the third highest basketball coach, an extension. Now, he signed an extension last year. They obviously will redo the extension, but it'll make him the third highest paid coach in college basketball. All right. Steve, I apologize. I wanted to make sure we got that in because it has been such a prominent story, so I wanted to get it in before we got to you, okay?
Oh, that's big news. Don't worry about it. I'm not worried about it.
What a great run by your team to get to the national semis like that. Angelo State finally won it. I know I asked you this before, but what are just a couple things that just came together that became a constant thread of success for you as the season went and built, especially in the postseason?
Yeah, it was fun. It was enjoyable. I mean, you get hot. A lot of teams in the wild cards and the pros, when they got hot, they won it. And so I was excited and proud of my guys.
A clubhouse can get to be like a family atmosphere, which then translates to the dugout. You've been around it. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. Did this team have that quality, that identity?
Yeah, they just believed in each other. And, a lot of people pushed us. I think it's this unknown team. We used it to our advantage, and we just didn't finish right.
Yeah, it didn't finish right, but you made a run through this to get this far. I'm going to tell the expert here how important pitching is. Ha ha. But you have to have a depth of pitching to do this. I mean, how many different arms did you have to really rely on to get you this far in a tournament like this?
Well, you have your 4 starters, and then you have your couple of relievers that you count on. A midweek starter, and then what happened was our kid Nathan Mankowski from Cedar Cliff got hurt in the regional, so our 4th starter kind of pushed back. So we try to force our number 1 to pitch on 4 days rest, and then we started a kid as our midweek starter that usually was out of the bullpen, has been pitched for. He kind of got hurt in the regionals, and we just wanted to get 3 innings out of him, and it just didn't work out in our favor.
You also have to, when you make a run like this, there's also sometimes a player that had a good regular season that suddenly elevates to a little different level in the postseason that maybe the world didn't expect and maybe you guys didn't expect. Was there a player on your team like that suddenly had a postseason, was just better than his regular season, and it made a difference?
It's hard to tell. I mean, our best player, Pontoli, he just turned it up a notch and got some big hits and was always on base. Our big superstar Ricky Aponte kind of struggled a little bit in the guys in scoring position, but he got a couple hits in one game and then kind of went silent. But everybody else just kind of did their job. I mean, we did it more on the defensive end and our pitching at the end of the game with our freshmen. But other than that, we just played the way we normally do.
How unusual is that? I mean, because you've been on really successful teams. I mean, like that, where like the same thing happened in the regular season as the postseason. I mean, is that unusual?
Yeah, I think there's you always have some unsung hero that helps you out. Like if you look at the World Series in the past, like the LSU, the kid that hit the home run down the line, and then last year they just had their big boys step up and play. But we, as a team, we just went out there and we knew our guys were limited on some things, so you try to protect them from situations and you try to put guys in the right spots. And it just didn't work out for us in that last game. We just walked and hit too many guys, and I think we put 15 guys on base that didn't even hit the balls, or errors, walks, and it just cost us.
Baseball's a long season. I mean, you get out of there, but you're playing in February. I mean, even had your first, 3 games, I think, rescheduled along the way. What did you start to see the signs of this in February, that you had a really good team? Or was there a point where in coaching this group it kind of kicked in and you saw it at a particular time, maybe not February?
Yeah, last year, I think, in 2023, when we got to the the PSAC tournament, I'm sorry, not regional, but PSAC tournament, and we just, we beat Millersville, and we kind of like, hey, man, that's a really good team we just beat. I mean, they were loaded. Millersville was loaded at 23, and we beat them. And I was like, you know what? We're a couple pieces away from being really, really good, and our mentality needed that game to tell kids that we're better than what we think. And I think they built on it, and they came in knowing that we can win games now, and it just carried over this year, and we won the close games. I mean, we won a lot of one-run games and 2-1 games. And it was. That's what we needed, and I think that helped us this year. And and then we didn't panic in situations, and we played good teams, and we played them tough, and we're like, just stay in there, hang in there, and we eventually won some, 41 games out of it.
Well, and look, you were pushed to the limit here too a couple of times. Seton Hill wins the opening game against you in the Super Regional. You come back, win the next 2, 9-8, 7-4. Point Loma wins in the World Series the opening game against you. And then you win the next 3 against Central Missouri, then beat Point Loma in a 1-0 game, as you talked about. You even beat Angelo State in an elimination game. I mean, you were involved in elimination games that you kept winning. What kind of grit does that take for a team to do that?
It takes a lot of grit, a lot of belief in each other, but then it just wears you out too, because the stress, just the coming back. Now I know what the Red Sox felt like when they played the Yankees and they're down 3-0.
Yep.
But they came back to win. It was a gauntlet of just talent down there that you have to go against, and we found ways to just plug it away, find the holes. Like, the ballpark was built for us to pitch there, and other teams were trying to hit it out of the ballpark, and we kept them in the ballpark, and we were like, just don't walk people. And we did that for the most part until our last game.
This is a season where IUP won 41 games. What does it tell everybody in that part of the state what the program is capable of?
We were just ecstatic. We had such support from our local township people, the Moose, the Eagles, the Elks. Just people came out with unwavering support, and our whole staff pulled together from like all the other sports here. The town was great. It was open. It was nice to see. I've seen a lot of things, like a good high school football team back in our area. It's kind of like how I would say it, like the Berwick Bulldogs back in the day.
Yeah.
They put the paws all over the place. We had hawks all over the place out here, and it just made baseball relevant again in an area that. And I know their high school teams they're playing in Bellefonte today for the semifinals or to go to the states.
Yeah, in fact, the States are going to be here at Medler Field, Lebrano Park, coming up next the end of the week. So looking forward to that when they get here. What's it like coaching at this level? I mean, does it bring you back to when you played? Because, I mean, this is not, let's be honest, this is not an NIL level. There's obviously transfers and so forth. What's it like coaching at this level?
It's just a bunch of kids that are, one skill level away from being that D1 kid. Either you don't have the arm strength, the power, or the inconsistency of playing at that next level, which is D1. And you just got to find a way to put this team together, and they believe. And most of these kids are really successful in high school. It's just they don't have that tool that the D1 guys are looking for. And, we got to find those kids that win. I just want to see kids that win at high school that I know I can put in here that will win here. I mean, a lot of people are looking for that potential arm and the draft choice. And I'm like, I just want you to play good college baseball and enjoy your 4 years at college.
It's interesting you bring that up because I was doing the State College Spikes were playing the West Virginia Black Bears in the MLB Draft League last night. I broadcast the game. And a kid came to the plate by the name of Kline, who just won the Kirby Puckett Award as the Junior College World Series MVP. He drove in 17 runs. He was one off the Junior College World Series record. And he said to me before the game, Cade did, he says, Steve, I want to win tonight. Got to win. And then he ended up delivering a double in the ninth inning to drive in the tying run that he scored the winning run at a walk-off. And I had said in the broadcast how important it is to have not just talented players, but players from winning backgrounds. When you just brought that up, how important is it when you get players into your program that they have a winning background, a team-winning background?
I think it's huge. I think that's a big part of it. We had our shortstop from Bethel Park. He won 2 state titles. We had guys from the teams that he beat. We had like T. Glover and Blaze Iders that won at Silms Grove. We had the Central Mountain kids, Peyton Johnson, that lost to Bethel. So we had the Mount Tor kid that won it one year. I mean, it was like those guys that all get in that playoff there. The Mount Lebo, the Shields kid that can throw. So they're all in the playoffs in the hunt. And they bring that experience with them, and I think it carries over to the winning.
Are you the type that can enjoy the moment? Or is it as soon as the moment's over with, you start thinking about either the next game or start thinking about the next season?
Yeah, my brother Cookies. If you know my brother Cook, you know that we're intense. I love the competition part. I bring everything I can to the game that day, and then once it's over, I can move on. I sat back and looked at all the kids, and you think about ifs and buts, but I was so proud of them. Just proud of how hard they play and stuff like that. And then now it's time to recruit. I was just talking to a bunch of recruits getting ready for next year and try to repeat this thing and get there and win the thing. That's the important thing, the winning it.
Steve, congratulations on what you and your team and program accomplished. The area is always proud of you, as you know that. But thanks so much for the time. I always enjoy great baseball conversations with guys like you.
Oh, I appreciate it. Like I said, I was coached from a guy from Milton. My brother coached me, and my dad coached me when I was a kid. And I love the area. And like I said, we got a bunch. I mean, Sandry's from Mount Carmel. I got Mifflinburg kids. I got everybody. So we love the area. Love it.
The Valley is great, and you're an important part of it. Thanks so much, Steve. Appreciate it. Congratulations again.
No, thank you guys, and I appreciate having me on.
Steve Kline joining us from the major leagues and then applying the trade of coaching now. And what a job they did. IUP to the national semis. Angelo State finally beat them. Finally. And they had their back to the wall in elimination. They won 5 elimination games. They won 5 elimination games between the Super Regional and the final. How about that? All right, we'll come back. More in a moment. Dan Hurley staying at UConn. And Caitlin Clark will be watching the Olympics at the Suits house. No? It's not the headline?
Yeah, that'd draw a crowd. I hope he's prepared.
I can just see now. We need more chips. We'll come back with more in a moment here on News Radio 1070 WKOK, brought to you by NIL Game Changers.
When car repairs get difficult,
Well, I just don't know.
Me neither.
we get good. Sunbury Motors. More than quality new and used cars, Sunbury Motors specializes in complicated auto repair diagnosis. They can handle intricate repairs and even complete auto body with service open Monday through Friday, 7 till 4. And Sunbury Motors has made simple repairs easy. Maintaining your vehicle is necessary. Finding the time to do it is difficult. Welcome to Sunbury Motors Quick Lane. Just walk in or call ahead. Relax in their remodeled waiting room with Wi-Fi, beverages, and snacks. While Sunbury Motors factory-trained techs take care of your oil change, tire alignments, brakes, and inspections. Quick Lane, 6:30 to 6, Monday through Friday, Saturday, 6:30 till 2. Sunbury Motors, Ford and Hyundai, North 4th Street, Sunbury. And Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf. We take the out of auto repair.
Spring has sprung, and it's time to dust off those insurance policies. For over 100 years, the Purdy Insurance Agency has been protecting families and businesses of the greater Susquehanna Valley and beyond. With the experience of our trained and knowledgeable staff, you can rest assured that your needs will be evaluated and met by some of the industry's best representatives. No matter what your insurance needs are, call Purdy Insurance today at 570-286-5855 or visit our website at purdyinsurance.com to see what we can do for you.
Half hour brought to you by NIL Game Changers, your destination for name, image, and likeness opportunities. Businesses, athletes, visit nilgamechangers.org to start your journey today. So Dan Hurley makes the decision he's going to stay at UConn. He turns down the opportunity of the Lakers. The Lakers offered him 6 years, $70 million. This really was not about money. Because UConn also made him an offer too, and the UConn offer was it's an extension. It makes him, I believe, the 3rd highest paid coach in college basketball. But I think in the end, you have to decide on who you are and where you're most comfortable. You know, I mean, and that's I don't know. And maybe I'm just talking on a personal side of it. I mean, it's not like I have not had other. It's not like I haven't had multiple opportunities to leave. I have, but in my case, it's always been. I mean, to be honest with you, this is always the job I wanted. Everybody has what they perceive to be in their own mind what the number one job is in their particular profession. And maybe in my profession, in ESPN or CBS or NBC or whatever. But I always thought this was the number one job. That's just how I viewed it. Doesn't mean that's how other people viewed it, but that's how I always viewed it. And so I didn't have interest in going someplace else. So now let's apply that to Dan Hurley. and applying it to him, I wonder how much that entered into him. Like, okay, am I a pro coach? Am I a college coach? Where am I more comfortable? Do I want to deal with name, image, and likeness in the transfer portal, or do I want to deal with free agency and load management and things like that? I mean, I know of one guy that I know one guy who talked about, forget this stuff. I'm not going to coach the pros. And the reason was he had been a part of Team USA and had the third level unit of NBA guys. And they all acted like they were LeBron. And I'm not saying, I'm trying not to indict LeBron James here. But in other words, LeBron's been the best player. Okay. So this entire group acted like they were the best player in the league. That's my point, not about attitude of, LeBron James. LeBron James has been the best player in the league for the past 20 years. And he said, I dealt with all these guys with their entourages and everything like that. And he said they all acted like they were the best player in the league, that they all were the next coming of LeBron James. He said, and they aren't. He says, I can't coach that on a daily basis. So you don't know what enters into this and how much Dan Hurley's wife and family played a role in whatever decision they had to make. But the decision was to stay at UConn. Hey, that's his decision. You have to make a decision as to what you think is best for him. Look, 6 years, $70 million is a lot of money. But by staying at UConn, he's not taking a vow of poverty either.
I just wonder if he got any assurances NIL-wise as well.
Yeah, that I don't know. And I don't know what UConn's NIL situation happens to be. I mean, they don't have a football program. I mean, Jim Moore has done a good job. But they don't have a football program that's going to eat up a lot of NIL money compared to basketball. So I don't know. Like I said, the last time I was even around him was 8 years ago. So I don't really know him at all. I mean, I don't know him at all.
Bringing you an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Brewers Outlet, NIL Game Changers, Sunbury Motor Company, and Purdy Insurance. Now from the Sunbury Motor Studio, here's Steve Jones.
And this half hour of the show is brought to you by our good friends at Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street in Sunbury, the beverage supermarket. Imports, domestics, microbrews, the best selection of beer anywhere. Wine coolers, water, soft drinks, snacks. They roast their peanuts fresh and hot every day. Pickle bar led by the barrels and the dills, indeed second to none. All at Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street in Sunbury, the beverage supermarket. And, of course, we're in the Sunbury Motors studio, Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury, Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15, Hummel's Wharf, and online at sunburymotors.com. By the way, Chicken Traore, Penn State captured the 200-meter national championship out in Eugene, Oregon. Broke 20 seconds in doing so. Very impressive. Last time Penn State had somebody win that particular race at the NCAAs was Barney Ewell back in 1941. All right. See, we've been able to talk about actual games today, which I found to be a lot more fun. And now, of course, the big story about Danny Hurley staying at UConn. Okay.
I'm interested to see where the Lakers go now. Do they go back to JJ, or does it end up being somebody else?
It's going to be, you know what's interesting about that to me? is whether the JJ rumors were a smokescreen and it wasn't real.
Well, I forget where, I think I read it on The Athletic, like LeBron's choice is JJ and AJ's choice, or AD's choice, was Dan Hurley.
What's the choice of Rob Pelinka and Jeannie Buss?
It's the NBA. It doesn't really matter what their choice is.
Yeah. See, that's what's wrong with the league.
There's a balance.
Mm-hmm.
And they're probably too far to the one side, while maybe the NFL's too far to the owner's side.
Yeah. Pendulum swing. And there was a point where the owners had all the power. Baseball, football, basketball. I mean, Joe DiMaggio goes in one year and hit like 310 or something like that. He got a pay cut because he didn't hit 350. That's not a joke. Okay? That's not a joke. And then, when free agency started, the pendulum swung way in the side of the players. There's got to be a balance. Right?
There has to be a boss.
Yeah.
And sometimes I wonder if we've gone too far to one side and I don't know if appeasing is the right word, but, making players happy, that it has kind of eroded the abilities of a coach to kind of enforce discipline at this point.
Well, yeah. When you have to mandate a number of games to be played to qualify for awards, that's not good. What league has to do that? The NHL doesn't have to do that. The NFL doesn't have to do that. Major League Baseball doesn't have to do that. But the NBA has to do it. I mean, I've said 1,000 times on the show, like the single mom of three, she needs load management, right? No offense, but Anthony Davis doesn't. Okay? I mean, I think it's fine Anthony Davis gets a day off or two here and there, especially they're playing a whole bunch of games in a row. But, okay. Like the single mom of three, she needs load management and doesn't get it. That's an issue. Celtics won last night. Drew Holiday was outstanding. 26 points. Again, played really well defensively. On Kyrie Irving. That's been his primary responsibility this series, and so far he's done just fine. But he's scoring, and he scored 26 last night. The Jason Tatum line, though, tells you why the Celtics have had success. And, I think he had, what did he have last night? 16, 17 points, 18 points?
I think it was 18.
18. I think he took like 22 shots. Okay. Hey, so not a great scoring night. It's just not. I mean, not an efficiency night. But why did they win? They won last night because if you look at the Jason Tatum line, he had 12 assists. And when you don't care who does the scoring, just the fact that you're getting scoring, okay, that tells you about team success when you don't care who does the scoring. And for Tatum, let's go back to something we talked about during the Penn State season. And I'll be blunt, because I said on the broadcast, I'll say it again. I'm not going to change my mind about it. When Kanye Clary was here, I would say openly on the Penn State broadcast, when he'd get into those modes of just taking shots, I said, straightforwardly, I said, look, you have to have the ability to read the room. That Jalen Pickett, who's now with the Denver Nuggets, had the ability, like all the other really terrific point guards Penn State's had over the years. Freddie Barnes was like this. Okay? Nobody ever talks about Freddie. Tommy Wilkinson was like that. Freddie Barnes. Danny Earl, Joe Crispin. Okay? You can go on and on and on. Taylor Battle. Okay? Tony Carr. What they had, and especially Jalen Pickett had this, the ability in the first 5 to 7 minutes of the game to read the room. He's hot. He's not. I don't have it tonight. Those guys have it. I've got it tonight. And they don't. Right? You got to be able to read the room. Jason Tatum read the room last night. He didn't have a great offensive night, so he didn't go out and take 30 shots. Right? He looked around and said, look, I'm going to drive in, and guess what? I'm going to kick it out because Holiday's shooting the ball well, and Holiday was 11 to 14 last night. That's the ability to read the room and not care who scores. And that's a big part of this. And it helps when you have a team that has a lot of really good players on it, where you're not just locked into one or two guys. Derek, you get to the end of the season. You get to the end of the game last night, and Dallas is making a little bit of a run. They're making a dent. And who hit the shots? Holiday hit a 3. Next time down the floor, Derek White hit a 3. When Jaylen Brown has to pass, he passes. When Jason Tatum feels somebody else is hotter, he passes. Porzingis, by the way, is going to have imaging done today, but he says he's going to play Game 3 on Wednesday.
I think Porzingis has kind of been the biggest difference, just because he's kind of taken away that Dallas lob game for most of the first two games with his size inside. Right, because
he's been able to cover Derek Lively, and the other guy is not made for it. In fact, he didn't do any finishing at the end until Porzingis got hurt, and then when Porzingis got out, they brought in Al Horford. Again, you have to have other people step in. Hauser's been good when he's played. Pritchard's been good. But now this is going to be a test coming up going to Dallas. American Airlines Arena is going to be a wild, crazy place. Finals. It's going to be a great atmosphere. So how much does Dallas thrive on the home atmosphere? At the same time, the Celtics have been very good on the road. And how much did the Celtic veterans, Tatum and Brown in particular, learn from their Golden State experience in the finals a few years ago, where it looked like they were on their way to getting it, if you recall, and then didn't get it? I guess we have to talk about Caitlin Clark, right?
I guess.
Yeah. I mean, by the way, it looks like she's an alternate, along with Brianna Jones. I guess they're the top alternates for Team USA if a replacement is needed. We'll talk about that in a moment. Brought to you by Brewers Outlet here on News Radio 1070 WKOK.
Party time, game time, or just fun time. Doesn't matter what time it is, because it's Brewers Outlet time. The beverage supermarket has the area's largest beer selection. Imports, microbrews, ciders, and domestics. Pick from over 100 ice-cold 12-packs and dozens of 24-ounce singles. Soda, snacks, hot sauces, fresh roasted peanuts. Make it one-stop party shopping, and don't forget the pickle bar. So whatever you're celebrating or just doing it up, Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street, Sunbury wants to see you. And thank you for your years of patronage.
You want a unique way to display your brand. You need a team of seasoned experts to work with. You want to reach customers who buy. You want NIL Game Changers, a versatile consulting agency powered by former student athletes and coaches who work as NIL sports agents. NIL Game Changers will help you build powerful relationships with customers through compelling stories, with student athlete influencers as your leading edge. Finally, we'll equip you with the right media to drive your success home. NILGameChangers.org, building meaningful relationships with your customers.
So, Danny Hurley stays at UConn. We talked about that. He's not going to take the Lakers job. Stanley Cup Final resumes tonight on ABC with the Oilers taking on the Panthers. Florida won game 1 3-0. That's 8 o'clock tonight. The Phillies, of course, after losing yesterday, the Mets in London come back. More international stuff. It's great. And then, of course, the story that has, gripped a lot of people, besides the Dan Hurley story, that gripped a lot of people. By the way, Mike Tomlin gets a 3-year contract extension with the Steelers. Suit not happy. Suit not happy. He'd rather have a guy off the street coach the team. Suit is not. He's not happy. He's not a Tomlin guy. He's not a Tomlin guy. Just not.
Neither's my father-in-law, and I don't get it. Who are you going to get?
You know, it's interesting because I'll always hear that, you need to get a different voice in the locker room. The players change all the time. It's like, okay. Players change all the time, so it's okay. Caitlin Clark. It is interesting how she appears to be a lightning rod for so many different people. Not here. I talk about her sometimes. They're in the Final Four. You got to mention she plays. So now she's not going to be on the Olympic team. This is an interesting quandary, Todd, because you want to have the 12 most deserving players on the team. Now, I think if you look at the roster the United States is putting out, that's a gold medal winning roster. Because, again, you're trying to get a team together. Even when the dream team was put together, they weren't all just guards and shooting forwards. You had to have David Robinson, you had to have Patrick Ewing, okay, and you got Charles Barkley, and, and you go through they put a team together. You had 2 point guards in Magic Johnson and John Stockton. You got Larry Bird as a point forward. You got, Clyde Drexler. Okay. You try to put together a team, not just the 12 best players, but a team. So, you look on this team, a Brittany Griner and others, and Asia Wilson and so forth, right? And so if you're looking at 12 players, that's a darn good team that's going to win the Olympic gold medal. Okay. At the same time, are you missing an opportunity? Here's the tough part. Which one of the 12 would you eliminate? All right, so that would be, okay, let's put that to the side for a moment. But let's talk about...
I was going to say the exact conversation my brother and I had this weekend.
Yeah. Who do you move out? Okay. All right. Now let's talk about the opportunity. You have, at the moment, the Tiger Woods and Steph Curry and Patrick Mahomes of women's basketball. Right? When Tiger Woods is in contention in a golf tournament, the ratings go up exponentially. And look how popular the sport of televised golf happened to be during Tiger Woods' prime. Right? Look at the ratings of the Masters that he won just a couple of years ago. Wow. Because Tiger Woods is the difference between a mediocre rating and a great rating when he's in contention. If he were to somehow contend at the U.S. Open, the ratings would go off the charts. All right? I mean, I've covered golf tournaments with Tiger. I've covered U.S. Opens with Tiger Woods in them. Okay? And look, people gravitate toward him. Now, there's also a segment of the audience that is rooting for him to lose? Yes, but you know what the difference is between, you know what the commonality is between the people who want to see Tiger win and the people who want to see Tiger lose? The commonality is they're both watching. Okay? Well, it's the same thing with this. Same thing with Steph Curry. It's the same thing with Patrick Mahomes. She has people that are going to watch her because they love to watch her and the success and the flair with which she plays the game, the deep shots, the passes, the whole thing. Okay? And you also have some people out there that just don't like her. They don't know her, but they don't like her. Okay? They want to see her fail. Good, the Fever lost again. Great. These are from people who didn't even know the Indiana Fever existed until she joined the team. You know, like you bring in a whole new group of fans. Like, oh, there's an Indiana Fever, right? Now, boy, I've done so many games at Cambridge Fieldhouse. I obviously know there's an Indiana Fever. You walk by the Pacers and the Fever locker rooms all the time to get to your respective places when you're working games there, and I've done a ton of games in that building. But the opportunity is that if you put her on the Olympic team, what would the ratings be like when she plays? I mean, what are the ratings like when Simone Biles comes out there to be in women's gymnastics? Women's gymnastics will be in prime time because people love women's gymnastics just like they love women's figure skating. Prime time. Okay. Well, and Simone Biles kicks it up another couple notches, too. She draws in the casual fans. Caitlin Clark does that. She brings in the casual fans. She kicks up the ratings a few notches by being there. So now the debate is best 12 or missed opportunity.
Can it be both?
Well, you'd like to have seen it be both because I think it would have solved a lot. Maybe not for the 12th person that gets knocked out of this thing. But there seems to be in a league that has been fighting for recognition for a long time, there seems to be some animosity from those in the league to her popularity. At least I think there's been, right?
Oh, I don't think there's any doubt about that.
Right? Like, you've been struggling to get people to notice you play the game. She's helping you to get noticed. Why are you mad at her? because she's noticed? I mean, come on. She's helping all of you. I mean, Phil Mickelson will be the first one to tell you, right, that everybody on the PGA Tour is getting exponentially more money because of Tiger Woods. Phil Mickelson says that. He said, we owe him a debt. Right? Well, they're all going to get more because of her, just by showing up. So, are you missing out on opportunity? And that's a question for USA Basketball. Because there's not another Olympic Games for 4 years in Los Angeles.
This might be the best thing for her personally, though. I mean, she's been going since October.
Oh, I know that. I understand. Well,
I know you know that.
And that's why I've always admired what LeBron James has done time after time. He played on 3 Olympic teams, and a lot of those years, in fact, all 3 of those, 8, 12, and 16, he played in the NBA Finals in each of those 3 years. And guess what? Well, 80 didn't. 80 played deep in the playoffs. I'm sorry. Because the Celtics won that year. But he played a lot of basketball each time.